My name is Pastor Tami, and I am the family pastor here at Colonial. And this is Mark Potter, Pastor Mark, our OP campus pastor. Thanks for joining us here today.
Happy to be here, Tami.
So this is episode 1 of a 4-episode podcast on the digital fast that we're going to be starting. And you might be wondering what a digital fast is. And we're going to walk you through all of that. We're going to tell you what it is. We're going to tell you why to do it. We're going to give you some practical steps and offer a little bit of encouragement and support to you. So, we're so glad that you're here. And the good news is that we're not doing this by ourselves. There's going to be over 100 churches here in the Kansas City area who are doing it together because misery loves company. So there you go. You're going to love it. It's going to be a great time. It's not misery at all. And this is actually something that I'm really passionate about. I had the opportunity this past summer to really do a pretty big detox from my cell phone. And it was pretty profound experience, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But then we on staff here at Colonial, we started talking about it this past spring, and really kind of decided that we wanted to encourage our church to do a digital fast because we really feel like there's some significant benefit for everybody, regardless of your age and stage of life. And again, there's going to be over 100 churches doing it, and so we're not asking you to do it all by yourself, but to do it, there's a benefit to doing it in a big group and getting the support and encouragement from doing it in a group of people. Why should people do the digital fast? I've got 2 reasons, and then I want to hear from Pastor Mark what his thoughts are. So the first reason to do a digital fast is because 57% of Americans consider themselves addicted to their smartphones. Would you fall into that category, Pastor Mark?
Well, I wasn't listening because I was on my phone the whole time, so I don't know.
Yes, he is addicted. Back in 2003, already 20 years ago, what year did you get your first smartphone?
Maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
Okay, so like in the teens.
Right.
Even 10 years before that, the Surgeon General had already said that we are in an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. Before COVID, before I had a smartphone, we were already experiencing epidemic loneliness and isolation in our country. And the problem with that is that there's physical side effects that come from that kind of loneliness. There is a 29% increase risk of heart disease. There's a 32% increased risk of stroke. There's a 50% increase of dementia in older people. So there's some real physical risk factors to this isolation and loneliness that we are experiencing more and more and more. And so this digital fast isn't just about limiting the time on your phone. It's about increasing and reclaiming the connection with other people. And you've tried some of this, and I'm curious, what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was just what you described, reclaiming some of that connection with the people that are most important to you. We often say that our family is most important or our relationship with God is most important, but we're being distracted by our cell phones or our devices.
Right.
And that takes away from that quality
and actions
time.
Speak louder than words.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And that takes away from that quality time that you get to spend with God and with your family or with your friends and neighbors or the people that you want to minister to and among. And so that's whenever I come home, I'm often worn out because church people are so needy. No, I'm just kidding. But oftentimes when I come home, I just want to decompress and relax. Yeah. And the way to relax is not to stare at a screen, although that might be tempting.
It is.
But being with that family time really rejuvenates you and makes you appreciate the time that you have to spend with them. And then it also frees up time that you can spend with God rather than looking at a device or looking at a screen. So
that actually reminds me of in Hebrews chapter 3 and 4, God's talking about godly rest, and he's telling people you had the opportunity for godly rest and you didn't take advantage of it. And I just think there's a really big difference between laziness and godly rest.
And
a cell phone is lazy and often not conducive to godly rest.
Right, exactly. I have a couple statistics I want to share with you.
Yeah.
One is that children spend 52% more time staring at a screen than they did before the pandemic. Wow. So they spend 52% more time now than they did prior to the pandemic. I know for us, during the pandemic, everything was on a screen because it was, whether was like church stuff or school stuff. My oldest son went to school for 7 or 8 hours a day staring at his iPad. And it's hard to break those habits even years later, because of how much his brain was rewired, during that time period when everything was on a screen. And so we're trying to break that trend. Another statistic that's troubling is that as of 2023, Americans spend 4 hours and 52 minutes or 25 minutes a day on their phone, which is up from 2 hours and 54 minutes back in 2022. So we're
4.5 hours.
Almost spending, I guess, almost double the amount of time just within 1 year.
So when people say, I just wish there were more hours in the day, you would have more hours in the day, 4.5 more hours in the day if you weren't on your phone.
Right. Yeah, that's a trend that is not going in the right direction. We're trying to hopefully break through this digital fast.
Right. Yeah. Let's dial that back.
So the next thing I want to ask you, and I'll talk about a little bit myself, is what is the digital fast? We talked about the why. Now we're going to talk about the what. And fasting is not a new concept. It was a very biblical concept. Jesus fasted for 40 days. Now, he fasted from food because they didn't have smartphones back then. But my thought is, if Jesus can fast from food for 40 days, I should be able, through the power of the Holy Spirit, to be able to fast from my screens, or at least from social media, for 28 days. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you follow my logic there?
I do. Yeah.
Good.
I got it.
What is a fast? A fast is basically, it reveals to us our idols. It's taking away things that God created, or things that could be good for something better. And in this case, it reveals to us the idols of our heart, because whatever we spend our most time on and our most money on, that is an idol. That's what we worship. And instead of spending time addicted to our screens or looking at social media or what have you, could we spend that time a different way? Could we spend that time connecting with God? Could we spend that time feeling the freedom to connect with those we love the most?
Yeah.
So
that's so good.
Part of this is going through a digital detox, and it'll feel like a detox. Tell us more about your sabbatical and why you chose to cut basically cold turkey from screens for the first.
So I've done a digital fast a few different ways. And the first one that I did was just a total detox. So I kind of a little bit crash landed into my sabbatical, and I kind of knew I needed a pretty significant reset. If I was going to do my sabbatical well, if I was going to rest well, and if it was going to be truly godly rest and not just laziness and sitting on a couch for 8 hours a day, then I needed to have a pretty hardcore reset. And so I literally turned off my phone and put it in a drawer for 3 days.
Wow.
It actually ended up being longer than that because I so did not miss my phone. But, I have 2 kids in college, and so that idea of not being available to them was scary. And so I let them know, I let my parents know that I was unavailable. So if they needed anything, call Dad. He still got his phone. So no email, no phone, no screens of any kind it went on for several days, 3-4 days. And man, the fruit of that, I slept better at night. I took naps during the day. I took my dog on long walks. I read my Bible. That's where I really kind of did my study of what godly rest is and what it was going to look like for me for the next several weeks. And it was just this profound time of peace and really being able to experience silence and be okay with silence. I don't get a lot of quiet and silence in my life. And so I really learned to appreciate that. And it was a season of hearing God really well, and just being at peace with myself, being at peace with my family, and being at peace with God. And it was really profound. If that doesn't feel possible, then I've also just done social media fasts where I'm just off of social media for a certain amount of time. I've done kind of abbreviated fasts where I'll take off email from my phone, or I'll just turn off my notifications so it's still there and accessible, but it doesn't interrupt my life. It's there when I need it for my convenience and not when other people need me. So I've done it a couple of different ways.
Love it.
But that detox, man, that was powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful. And I love how you said that too. And even the peace component of that is that's how, God created us to be in peace, in shalom, right? With God, with others, and with his creation. And then that all got messed up and jacked up. And so we still long for that, to return to that peace that shalom that
We
God
do.
wants
And
to
we
give us.
look at it in all the wrong places because we look to our phone for shalom.
Right.
And
That's not where it's found.
That's not where it's found.
Newsflash.
Shalom is not in your phone.
Catchy.
But we know this is hard. And so, we've spent a lot of time kind of trying to help you guys do this well, whatever capacity you choose to do it, whether it's a hardcore detox or a lighter version. It's going to look different for everybody. Some jobs, if you're the IT guy, a digital fast, a hard detox might not be an option. If you're, need social media for whatever, like it's going to look different for everybody. But we do want to support you in that. And so we'll have, a sermon series that we're kind of walking you through week by week, some encouragement. We're going to have this podcast that you can listen to for some encouragement. There'll be workbooks available to kind of do a daily devotional as you're experiencing it and coaching you and encouraging you and helping you kind of sort through some of those idols in your life.
Yeah.
The workbooks are going to be available. There's a lot that we're doing to support you and help you in this digital fast. So look for those resources.
And the workbooks, I think, do a phenomenal job of walking you through scripture, right?
Yeah.
Because some people might say, okay, this is like, I understand it, beyond screens less, but is this biblical? And it really does a great job of digging deep into the scriptures and, mentioning a lot of those verses. And the one that sticks out to me is Romans 12:2, which talks about not conforming to the pattern of this world, which everyone is staring at their screens or looking to be the next social media influencer or YouTuber, talking about maybe one of my sons. But,
my
instead of
kid's
conforming—
going to be a video game player for a living.
Right, exactly. So, but instead of conforming to the pattern of this world, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I think that's what one of the greatest benefits is of the digital fast, is that it really does heal your mind. We were talking to another staff member about this, and she mentioned that that's exactly what happened for her, is that she felt like her mind was being healed by putting down her devices.
Yeah. This is going to be hard at times. We're asking you to do a hard thing. And we know that you're going to have some days that you struggle with this more than others. And so if you're struggling, if you hit a rough patch, if you just need a little bit more encouragement, please reach out. We're here as your pastors, or we're here as parents, and as your community. We want to do this with you. We want to do this together, and we want to be an encouragement to you in any way that we can.
And I would encourage you to do it as a family too. We have workbooks for students as well as adults. And, I know that most of our kids that are elementary or younger, they don't have phones, but they do have other devices. And so being able to help them understand age appropriately what this looks like for them as well.
We are so excited to do this with you. It starts July 20th. So thank you so much for joining us on our first podcast. Next episode, you'll learn how to kind of make goals as a family and some of the tools and resources specifically for families that we're going to have during this digital fast. So check that one out.